Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hi, you guys.
So we're looking at the tropics, and it's heating up.
Oh, it's heating up everywhere.
It's heating up everywhere on so many different levels. I hope you guys got to catch our live stream that we had earlier today. Things are really getting hot, and we look at the tropics, and we got 3 named storms right there. We have another area to watch. And so, I mean, it does feel to me, it's kind of reminding me of 2017 as we look at some notable landfalls here. You could forget Maria and what Maria did to Puerto Rico. And then we had Irma, which, did send me packing from Southwest Florida and actually all the way to New Mexico. It ended up being a little bit of a spiritual journey. And, I had seen a vision going back in 1984 that when it felt like it was right, the Four Corners area is safe. And that's always sat with me. And of course, that's what the Hopis legend says as well. Hurricane Harvey, and we've talked about that before. It's kind of going along. All of a sudden, it looked like there was something that was launched from Mexico, and it just went boom, came straight in, sat there, and just made so much damage as well. And then we had Nate as well. Interesting. And we see the NHC Atlantic has issued a hurricane warning and storm surge warning for parts of the Texas coast as Tropical Storm Hanna approaches. Governor Abbott urges Texans along the path of the storm to heed warnings of local officials. And if we take a look at my Fox hurricane, we could see this is what the projected path is looking like right now. So she's projected to turn into an actual hurricane just before landfall and then heading over southeastern, southern Texas and into Mexico. Again, it's not always the wind that is a problem. Again, it can be storm surge, and when we see these storms just stall out too, and let's hope that doesn't happen in this case. But gosh, remember the Carolinas, where that storm just moved at like 1 to 2 miles an hour, and we never had seen a storm do that before Florence, and boy, did she inundate the area.
She sure did. She really sent a lot of people packing.
And here we see Tropical Storm Gonzalo, and this is the official track. So we'll keep an eye on this one and see if this one starts to head north. And let's see, here's some of the projected paths with the computer models. A really good chance this could end up coming out into the Gulf as well. And that's something we're going to end up watching. Mm-hmm. And here we see Hurricane Douglas, which is the strongest storm on the planet right now. It's expected to weaken as it moves towards Hawaii, but it went all the way up to Category 4. And began the weekend as the day progressed. And when it does get to that area, it's likely going to be either a Category 1 hurricane or just a strong tropical storm. So, again, it's not always the winds that cause the damage.
No, it's not. There's so many different elements to this.
Yeah, and it does. Look at that eye. I was just going to say, boy, that's a nice, well-defined eye that you see in a major hurricane, but thankfully it should not be major hurricane status when it does. And this was talking about Gonzalo as well. We got so much going on right now, so much on so many different levels. We touched on the whole situation with China, which it's just deteriorating so fast. It's hard to keep up with.
It really is. I mean, there's just so many things your head could spin.
And Nepal records the highest number of fatal landslides in 15 years. And we've had so much rain in so many areas, just saturating the ground. I almost thought I felt like a little bit of a shaking. Maybe that was just Cindy's leg and not an earthquake. But I'm going to pull up the USGS before we stop with this. We have 8,000 people evacuated after gigantic landslide blocks river, causing risk of disaster and flood devastated China. China's getting so hard hit. And our good brother David Devine, he did a video a couple of days ago talking about like 85 to 90% of their crop for the year is gone. And, that's the type of thing that does drive people to desperation, and will, if we look at it at a local level, when people are starving, I mean, it doesn't even take starving to get them out there rioting, so imagine when they're hungry and angry.
And moms that have babies to feed, watch out.
Oh, for sure. And there's videos here that show that landslide as well. And here we see off of ABC News, cars and trucks carefully push through a flooded tunnel. And this is in Saudi Arabia. As we were talking about, this is a global situation that we have going on right now. Obviously, we have a grand solar minimum of epic proportions, as well as now some interesting activity in the sun. Wages World, also formerly known as Blue Kool-Aid, did a video last night talking about the solar activity, which seems to be picking up. And here we see, this is in China. Look how good they cleaned this up in 24 hours. That was on the left the day before, and then all cleaned up. But the floods have been intense. And this is in Croatia. And you can see massive floods going on there. Could just about see the roof of that car. And Mount Popo is being pretty active. Eruption up to 24,000 feet. It's in Mexico. And the locusts have made it to Europe. And, this is the worst invasion of locusts in 70 years in Sardinia. Millions have caused devastation. And they are just feeding on everything in sight. And, of course, we talked about this going on in Asia. We talked about this in Africa, South America, making its way into Central America, and ultimately probably up into North America as well.
Definitely. They're just all over the place. It makes me wonder if somebody didn't release them from somewhere.
Was there a locust breeding program going on, in the case at what should we call it, like Dr. Evil's place, right? It almost feels like we have a Dr. Evil in this world, I love that Mike Myers character. He's so funny. But it's almost like that. And then now we got an outbreak of worms in the water supply in South Korea.
No.
So is that a little spaghetti noodle, or no? It's wiggling.
That's just ew. Ugh.
Yeah, you might want to do something with the water supply before you drink from it down there in South Korea. Natural? Isn't it kind of curious how all these things are happening at once? Mm-hmm. And we have a giant 13-foot oarfish that was found, and this is off of Baja. So is there a big quake coming to Mexico soon? Perhaps, because that's what these things usually portend. A big quake. Look at this. Isn't that an awesome fish?
It's stunning.
So we're watching. Things are still shaking. Mysterious active leak of seabed methane found for the first time in Antarctica, and it's leaking in a part of the ocean that's not warming. Methane speeds global warming faster than carbon emissions. And so, it's fascinating too, though, because after every period of global warming, there's always a cool down. Mm-hmm. So, and we know ultimately we are supposed to be heading towards a cool down globally, and the volcanic activity will definitely help that. And as I had mentioned it, let's just take a peek here. I think we're getting very sensitive to quake activity, but everybody's sensitivities are increasing. So we have 5.1 over in Cuba, 5.5 over here off the coast of Mexico. And so if the oarfish was found off the Gulf here, we do see large ones down here as far as large quake activities where we have this confluence going on. We did see a curious quake over here, which was interesting, so far in off the edge of the plate. And so we see Ridgecrest, China Lake Ridgecrest. Well, if we take out the swarm going on a little bit to the north there, heading towards Lone Pine, just 31, which is not really that high for this. It's been way higher than this. Now 507, that's upticked since this morning. So let's take a look over, heading towards Lone Pine area a little bit more. 11 over here. And if we crawl on up, head over towards Mammoth Lakes, we got 144. So that was pretty active. It's still pretty active. And just west of Tonopah, 95. The west is rocking and rolling still.
It really is. Look at that. It's very active.
And this is where we had the big one, the 7.8. And in that area, we have about 19 right now. 5.0 looks to be about the biggest over in that area. So there's so much going on in this world right now. It's been pretty crazy, to say the least. I want to thank all of our supporters over on Patreon. If you feel so inclined, become part of the family over there as well. And also everybody's support at Ko-Fi, where you could do a one-time donation to help the channel, or a monthly, just like in Patreon. So guys, be prepared. Be prepared. Things are going up to an ever-increasing crescendo that seems to be very close.
That's a great vocabulary word, too.
As always, guys, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.